while we were on the set, we'd get like a news alert that 3 assailants had tried to break into Sam Bankman-Fried's parents' house where he was on house arrest.
I sent that article to my wife and I was like, this is the movie I'm going to do.
Yeah.
There's so many spoilers now. Shit.
Welcome to the Den. So this is such a wild and twisty movie. The movie is about Redditors performing a heist on a cryptocurrency, bro, basically. So I'm
nailed it.
So I'm just curious, did any of you have investments in cryptocurrency at any time?
We had to make this movie because we're trying to recoup a lot of losses. Indie film, we felt like, was the fastest way to...
Yep.
To
Definitely
just,
the
get some
smartest.
of that back.
I tried Herbalife for a little bit. I went with Amway. And then indie film, really.
The safest way to spend money after going into Dogecoin.
Yep.
When you started writing this process, was it before or after FTX went bust?
Before, however, it was all sort of happening at once. So John and I started working on this story ahead of it, but these things started unfolding as we were going into production. So some bizarre coincidences, including while we were on the set, we'd get like a news alert that 3 assailants had tried to break into Sam Bankman-Fried's parents' house where he was on house arrest, and we were like preparing to shoot that type of scene, in our film.
I sent that article to my wife and I was like, this is the movie I'm going to do.
There's so many spoilers now. Shit.
Took some inspiration from that, but I think the FTX story is a much more complicated and larger story. This was kind of focused more on when a platform can shut down or when a platform can be a scam. Who are the victims and what are those victims willing to do to go make things right?
Well, Tony, you play one of the victims in this, and they talk about being Robin Hoods and vigilantes, and they use, very timeless thing. Your character talks about spiritualism a lot, but do you see them as specific reflections of the culture right now?
I do 100%, because I keep saying this. I feel like we all have that one weird crypto buddy, and they all fall into like one of these characters, or like a version of what you're laughing because you know it, right? You have that one weird friend, the one that's like, oh, you invested in crypto, like Dom's character. And he's like, yeah, well, tell me about it. My buddy Billy said it's very cool and that it's the next thing and I should definitely do it. And I think, there are so many reflections of exactly, my sweet brother-in-law was like, dude, GameStop is popping off. You should, do it. Get in there. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's so much of that going on right now. And blurbs from podcasts, Rogan and Huberman and Lex Friedman, you get these blurbs of like little snippets of like, buy this or buy that or try this or try that. And everybody's kind of getting, oh, great. Yeah, I'll take that. And not, really seeing the full context of what the implications are.
Well, while the internet has brought people together, does it feel like it's made them easier prey for capitalistic vultures?
My dad is like on like a every 2 to 3 day getting scammed on the internet. Like he can't learn it for some reason. So he's like, yeah, LifeLock's calling me again. I'm like, no, Dad, that's not LifeLock. There's just no chance that's LifeLock. And he's like, well, they need my social. I'm like, no, they're not going to ask for that, Dad. The thing about the internet is like all of a sudden you can find your people, right? And you're like, oh, I thought I was the only one who loved underwater basket weaving. But then you find your whole community, and the criminals, it's that too, right? You're like, oh, there are so many people who are willing to do horrible, nefarious things to steal money from people. And they found a home on the internet.
Speaking of this, Josh, could you talk about specifically about your character who, despite being tied up for most of the movie, seems to have a lot of control over the other 3 characters?
Yeah, so my character is definitely one of these conscienceless hucksters who found out that people will give him money if he sells them, a bill of goods. But yeah, he quickly finds himself in a situation with people who are slightly physically outmatch him. Slightly, it's close, but slight. And has to rely on his intellect to try to fight back.
There's something very elemental about how he tries to control them, because to me it's like the king turning the lower classes against each other.
No, it's exactly that. He's such a manipulator at his core, and you can tell that he's someone who sees people's weaknesses and figures out how to make them his advantage, and he totally sees where there are cracks. I'm a big fan of the show Survivor, and it feels like one of the Boston Rob masterful players, just sizing people up, understanding what makes them tick, and then making them cannibalize each other. And it's a really fun thing to play because I'm not that smart in real life, but it'd be cool if I was.
At the same time, does it feel like the CEO character is still a part of the world that we were talking about a moment ago? Because he is a CEO, he's very successful, well, to a point, but when it all falls apart, his first instinct is to fake his own death and to defend his hideaway with a crossbow.
I think it's the natural way to go. What else would you do? It's shocking how many of these people actually fake their own deaths, as though that does really happen. These people disappear and pretend they don't exist anymore because they think that's going to work out. The crossbow is a twist on that theme, but there are definitely people who are bunkered up with their dragon's layer of crypto gold.
Cutter, could you talk about getting support from Steven Soderbergh and the Andrews Bernard Award for this?
Yeah, this is, a total honor for me because Steven is one of my heroes, and we partnered with Decentralized Pictures, which is one of the cool players in the film 3 space. So financing with crypto and really engaging audiences to help choose the projects. So where they came in was in the finishing process of the film. They have a platform that was sort of upvoting the different projects, and then Steven watches the finalists, and fortunately he chose ours. And I've gotten to meet him and talk to him, and he's he's obviously a master filmmaker, but he's also kind of a master of the heist genre. So of all of the sort of godfathers that we could have found, he's pretty ideal. But on the film 3 side of things, what they're doing, it's sort of an offshoot of American Zoetrope. So they are always been kind of fiercely independent since the early days, and this is kind of the latest iteration of trying to promote that in filmmaking.
How far along were you in the process when Steven saw a cut of this movie?
He saw a rough cut of the film, so we were not quite done, but yeah, he saw pretty late rough cut, I guess.
So I just have to share this story because when we were up for this thing, and I'm messaging all my friends, hey, if you want to take a look at this, go to the site, vote on it. If you like the synopsis and the photos and it looks interesting to you, and sending it out. And I know we had made the top 5, and John, our writer, for my birthday, we were playing paintball in LA, and Josh had said very kindly he couldn't make it. Cutter was on the East Coast. Did you lose your invite?
Might get lost in the mail, man.
No,
I was actually
lost
on the
in the
other
mail.
side of the earth. I was in Europe because I remember this very well.
Yes.
This was great.
In the middle of our paintball game, John's like, "Oh, I got to take a call," and he comes back from the call, and it's like, "Dude, we won the Soderbergh grant." It was so sick. So, and then, so we're waiting to hear if we've gotten into South by Southwest. And John's like, "Hey man, can we grab breakfast this morning?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'm actually going to be in Venice." And he's like, "Because you're my good luck charm. We found out about the Soderbergh grant." So that morning, the morning we found out we got in South by Southwest, John and I got together for breakfast.
Straight
we
to
had
paintball.
Yep.
It was a paintball breakfast.
Paintball golf breakfast. And we found out that we got into South by.
Yeah, and I think you guys called me or sent me a picture or something, and I suddenly knew. I was like, oh, I know exactly what John's doing. John is trying to rework that.
Yep. And Dom, Tony's deep internal Dom, was trying to ride the spiritual wave of good luck charms, and it happened both times. So
It's great.
yeah, I'm hoping that all of that.
And I wasn't invited neither time. So
Yeah, Josh is our bad luck charm.
yeah, projectors just break whenever we try to screen the movie, and I'm there.
I did want to bring up a little bit the influences on this. Soderbergh, you mentioned, has made a lot of thrillers. I kind of was thinking, well, this is like the Treasure of Sierra Madre if they were mining for Doja coins.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
well,
That's a really interesting one because that's kind of like one of these timeless films and probably structurally has influenced so many movies. And I think that was kind of the movies like Fargo, movies like A Simple Plan. Those films like Simple Plan, Fargo, were stories of criminals who get in over their head. I love that stuff so much, and I think in this case, crypto is just kind of the thing, the bag of money in this sort of long line of heist genre films.
does it have a moral or a lesson or something like that for the audience today?
Yeah, hold on for dear life. Never sell.
Diamond
the
hands,
moon.
baby. Diamond hands.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked a lot about, kidding aside, we've talked a lot about how, there's like a cautionary capitalism tale bound up in all of this, which is that whenever there's a new thing that is going to make us all rich, or that is the Wild West of the financial markets, a lot of people generally get hurt, and a few people enrich themselves on those people getting hurt, which is a real bummer. But I guess our message would be greed is perhaps not good. Is that as catchy? Is that as good as the other thing? Okay.
I feel like my dad. Like, just don't bet anything that you're not willing to lose. And that, and it goes for all these, characters, don't put your life on the line unless you're willing to lose it, man. I'm not saying anyone dies, but people do.
Home invasion, kidnapping, torture. And the night is still young.